Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I'm Alicia. Today we're going to be talking about all of the books that I plan to read in the month of March. So let's get right into the video. I'm going to take you along in how I decide what books to add to my TBR videos or what books that I'm planning to read in any particular month. So if this video seems a little bit chaotic, that is why. So the first thing that I do is I actually pull up a tracker that I have. It is in my Google Drive and it's an Excel spreadsheet of the books that I read each month. On this tracker, I actually track all of the books that I read, including my DNFs. But on that spreadsheet, I also have a page where I track all of the book selections for any book club that I want to participate in. Some of the book clubs that I have on here are Brujas and Books, that's hosted by Naomi and Cami. I also have Red in Color, which is hosted by Janine over at This Story Ain't Over. I also go ahead and write down the Full Moon Book Club hosted by Jan. So lots of different book clubs that are on here. I don't always end up participating in these book clubs. It really depends on the book club pick and whether I'm willing to step out of my own comfort zone to read those books. And it also just really depends on my mood. I am a really big mood reader, so I do oftentimes want to give myself the flexibility to not pick up something if I don't have to. So having this page right off the bat, I see the Read in Translation book club pick. If you're not aware, I did start a book club called Lit in Translation, where we do focus on reading translated fiction across a variety of different genres. And I'm really excited for February because my co-host is going to be Cami from Brujas and Books, and we will be reading The Shadow of the Wind. So now that I know that I will be reading The Shadow of the Wind for the month of March, I have a little notebook where I write all of the books that I'll be reading for that particular month. Once I know all of the books that are on my TBR for March, I go look for them if I have a physical copy, and then I put a stack by my desk to remind me to read those books. So I'm just going to add The Shadow of the Wind to this. So the first book is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. This is translated by Lucia Graves from Spanish to English, and this is a historical fiction / magical realism book. It's set in Barcelona post World War II, sometime in 1945, and we're following this guy who finds a book called The Shadow of the Wind, and he just falls in love with this book, and so naturally he wants to find other books by the same author, and he uncovers that books by this author have been systematically destroyed and erased, and that he may have the last remaining book by this author. And so apparently this leads him down the path to uncover some of Barcelona's greatest secrets. And that just sounds right up my alley. I love books that have a little bit of tension, a little bit of mystery. And over the past few weeks and months, I have been loving getting back into more historical fiction type books. So I'm really excited about The Shadow of the Wind, and I'm really excited to read it with Cami. As of today, we haven't decided what day the live show will be, but I will come back and update the description box when that has been decided. So going back to my tracker, the next column is my Latin America reading project. And for this, I had already decided to read Havana Year Zero by Karla Suarez, which is translated by Christina McSweeney. So here it is. She is a Cuban author. And if you're unaware of what I mean by the Latin America reading project, I'll link the video down below and in the cards. But basically, I try to read one book a month from a different Latin American country. This month it's Cuba. I have already started this. I'm about a chapter in, and this is a weird one, so I don't really know how to talk about it. So this is set around the time called the Special Period, which was when the Soviet bloc collapsed and Cuba was receiving a lot of aid from Russia or the USSR. Was it the USSR? Was it Russia? You know, I don't know my history very well, but it's post-Soviet bloc. And Cuba, according to the book, is at its slowest. It's at year zero. And so we follow this mathematician who runs into some information that electricity might have actually been discovered in Cuba rather than what we've been told our entire lives. And so she is going on this mission along with some friends to discover the truth and to bring some glory back to Cuba. Because this is big, if electricity was actually discovered in Cuba, she feels like she can restore, you know, Cuban confidence. So like I mentioned, I'm only 1 to 2 chapters in. So far, it's really intriguing and I like the writing style. I do feel like it's going to be one of those books that moves very slowly, but I love learning, especially when it's set in a historical context. So I feel like I'm going to get a lot out of this one. The next column on my spreadsheet is the Brujas and Books column. And so it looks like the Brujas and Books pick for the month of March is Ghost Squad by Claribel Ortega. And you know what? The Brujas and Books book club always pushes me outside of my reading comfort. This past month in February, we ended up reading Ophelia After All, which is a young adult contemporary. I don't read a lot of contemporary, and when I do, it's definitely not young adult. But I don't read middle grade. I can't remember the last time I read a middle grade, so this is going to be interesting. So it is a fantasy supernatural middle grade story, and from the little that I've heard, this has been pitched as the movie Coco meets Ghostbusters, and I love Coco. That's like one of my favorite Disney movies. I freaking adore it. So I feel like I'm gonna be hella judged for this, but I've never watched any Ghostbusters movie ever. None. Zero. Zeep. Nada. So I understand the premise of Ghostbusters. There's ghosts and there's Ghostbusters who bust the ghosts. And I think it's supposed to be a comedy, maybe? Anyways, so I'm excited to read Ghost Squad. It sounds like it's going to be very light, maybe heartwarming, maybe kind of funny. So I'm very nervous about this book because I have a cold heart. Like, I don't gravitate towards happy books. I don't gravitate towards heartwarming books. I like very gritty and dark books and books that are going to break my soul. But you know what? I have hopes for this book. Lately, I have been realizing that I read too many dark books and I actually need to start reading some happy books, because if not, I'm just going to spiral into depression. So yes, maybe this will be the book that gets me into happier books. So looking over at Jan's book club pick for March. So this is A Special Place for Women. And I don't know who this is by. A Special Place for Women. Let's see. Okay, so it's A Special Place for Women and it is by Laura Hankin. Actually don't know anything about this book other than it has a very pretty bright pink cover. And I don't even know the genre. I think it's a thriller, or it's supposed to be. It says, it's a club like no other. Only the most important women receive an invitation, but one daring young reporter is about to infiltrate the female-run secret society whose beguiling members are caught up in dark and treacherous business. This synopsis kind of reminds me of that book, what's it called? The Herd. I believe it's a thriller. I ended up trying to read that book last year sometime near the end of the year, and I DNF'd it because it was super boring. From what I can remember about it, it was just a bunch of like entitled white rich women creating a very like exclusive club, you know, and I wasn't into it. So we'll see if this one is a hit. So since I don't own A Special Place for Women, I'm going to request it from my library right now. Oh, okay, perfect. So actually there is an ebook that is currently available, so I'm just going to check it out and read it on my Kindle. Okay, cool. So we took care of that one. Now, the second list that I'm looking at is the 12 books by 12 friends. I do have a couple of different options. March is Women's History Month, so I do want to select something by a female author. We have The Night Tiger, Jade City, and then There Were None, Dread Nation, City of Brass. Let's see. What am I feeling? What am I feeling? Oh, I don't know. I don't want to commit right now. That's the problem. I'm just going to call it right now. I'm going to start Jade City by Fonda. So that is going to be my selection for the 12 books by 12 friends challenge that I have going on. This is the first installment to the Greenbone saga, and all that I know about it is that it's an urban fantasy. There's an emphasis on Jade, and you can sort of like have it on your body and maybe get like powers from it, but there's also this like war between two crime syndicates or something like that. So I'm really excited. It sounds like it's going to be action-packed. It sounds like it's going to be a fast read, and I can't wait to see what I think about it. So that is Jade City. Okay, let's write it down. So now I'm looking at new releases that are coming out this month. We have The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. I will most definitely be reading that as soon as it comes out. I'm going to go buy it on the day that it's released. And then the second one is 9 Lives by Peter Swanson. I don't know what it is about Peter Swanson books. I just really much enjoy them. They're books where I can just turn off my brain and enjoy the ride. So I will also definitely be checking out 9 Lives. I don't know what either of these books are about other than they're mystery thrillers or thrillers. So I'm going to go ahead and pick those up when they come out. I don't want to know anything about them. I just know that I'm really excited about them. Simone St. James is one of my favorite authors now. The past 2 books that I read by her have been 5 stars. That was The Sundown Motel and why am I blanking on the other name? It's The Broken Girls. I think it's called The Broken Girls. And I still have all of her backlisted books to read. So yeah, the last 2 columns that I have here is my nonfiction column and then my reading 2 books a month by Black women. And so for nonfiction, I'm not going to select a new book. I've been reading The Body for a couple of months now. I think I started it in January and I'm just a little bit over halfway through. I really want to get through to it and try to finish it this month, really making it a priority. I've been really enjoying it, and I think reading it little by little each night has been the perfect way to digest this, because if I try to read this all in one go or read this for more than 30 minutes a day, I would hate it because it would feel like a textbook. But reading it very slowly has been really helping and I'm really enjoying it. So I want to finish this one. And then reading 2 books by 2 female Black authors. I have a couple of options. I will put out this video later on in the week or in the month, but I recently went to my library and got a couple of different books. 2 books that I'm really interested in reading as soon as possible are Catherine House by Elisabeth Thomas, and I do believe this is dark academia. And the second one is Master of Poisons by Andrea Hairston. This is a standalone fantasy novel, which are really hard to come by. Adult standalone fantasy books are very hard to find, and so I'm really glad that I found this one at the library. I'm really excited to get to these 2. Master of Poisons is chunky. It's just a little bit, no, it's literally a little bit over 500 pages, and I feel like I have a lot of really thick books this month, so I will try to get to Master of Poisons. We'll see. Wish me luck. So those are all the books that I officially plan to read in the month of March. I always end up picking up random books here and there. It's mostly because of the Libby app, because books that I placed on hold just become available and I feel like listening to an audiobook, so I just end up picking those books while I go to the gym, while I cook or clean and stuff like that. So I consume a lot of random audiobooks. I'll also go ahead and make an updated books I requested on Libby video. I made one last year to let you know what books I would be listening to and what books would be coming up. So I feel like it's time to make a new one since I do have brand new books that I requested and whose holds are coming in. That way you're aware of what books I may be picking up over the next few months. So that is essentially my process for planning what I read in any particular month. Let me know down below if you're participating in any of these book clubs. What are you excited to read in March? And thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye!